The 50th anniversary of the World Affairs Council is a big deal.
The formation of a World Affairs Council denotes the coming of age for an urban identity. It proves that such an area is sophisticated enough to look beyond its own environment to world affairs. That was 50 years ago, in a letter by the then chairman of the Norfolk Chamber of Commerce to prospective supporters of what would become the World Affairs Council of Greater Hampton Roads. The City of Norfolk and the Chamber launched the first program series in early 1969. By May, the World Affairs Council was officially incorporated as a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization created to inform and educate our community about the key international issues of the day.
The city traces its origins to international trade. Originally, we were a great port for tobacco and then traded with the West Indies, and also in national defense. We've stayed true to that. Norfolk is part of the global economy with our port, with our military presence. We're an international player, and because of that, we need to stay informed. We need to present ourselves to the rest of the world as an international community. We need to know what's going on, and the World Affairs Council helps us to achieve all of that.
In 1969, when the World Affairs Council of Greater Hampton Roads was created, the United States was still in Vietnam, and we had just put a man on the moon. Fast forward a few decades, and there was 9/11, the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and up to today, the continued fight against terrorism. The World Affairs Council has played an important role through it all, keeping Hampton Roads and the greater community informed and engaged.
The U.S. leadership in the world, taken for granted for 7 decades, is now in question, both abroad and at home. And there is no better council to probe what that means for our interests and indeed for our national security than the World Affairs Council of Greater Hampton Roads.
The World Affairs Council provides a bridge between what people who are conducting their daily lives, making a living, enjoying life, working with local politics and things, and make a bridge between that and how the United States fits into the world at large.
Throughout its history, the organization has presented varied programs and educational outreach that explore global events and how they affect us all, featuring a long list of renowned foreign policy and world affairs experts from across the globe.
I participate in designing Soviet cruise missiles for the submarines for the purpose to sink your aircraft carrier. I never could imagine that I will speak with you here in the heart of the American Navy.
We've been pretty successful in attracting really high-level talent to come here because they know of the importance of Norfolk and how supported the World Affairs Council here is in our community.
One of the things you get from the World Affairs Council is a presentation that's not politically biased. It's something you can rely on just for information, and you learn what's going on around the world. It gives an opportunity to legislators to find out what the constituents are thinking, and also get the benefit of the conversation from the presentation and the reaction of the public.
With our world becoming more and more complex, our democracy depends on citizens who are educated on key international issues. That's where the World Affairs Council comes in. By educating the public about international affairs in a nonpartisan way, the World Affairs Council can help make sure that voters understand the issues and can effectively participate in our democracy.
There is being from Tennessee, I call it a milking stool, a three-legged milking stool, but it's a stable issue of economics, politics, or diplomacy, and then national security, which we mostly think about as military. And those three elements have to be in balance.
We need to remember America has two fundamental sources of power. One is its power of inspiration, and the other is its power of intimidation. And I was part of the power of intimidation, primarily, also some inspiration, for 40 odd years. We should never confuse ourselves. America's power of inspiration is the more powerful tool we have in this world, not the power of intimidation. The military can buy time for the diplomats. It can right or wrong, but it cannot solve the problems. That takes development aid, that takes the diplomats, and the military plays a subordinate supporting role in that.
We face unprecedented challenge today. These challenges, no nations can face them alone. And so it is very important that our alliance and multinational security organizations like NATO are very important in today's world. And it is the reason why our citizens need to understand what such an organization can bring to them on a daily basis. And the World Affairs Council can help us to understand what we bring every day to our citizens.
I really appreciate so much Hampton Roads and Norfolk having a World Affairs Council that is supportive of NATO. And I think having a strong World Affairs Council means that the people will support NATO, know what NATO is doing, know the important role NATO plays in the security umbrella for Europe and North America.
As a member of the Foreign Relations and Armed Services Committees, where much of my work in the Senate is focused on the role of the United States in the world, keeping our country safe and building strong diplomacy, organizations like the World Affairs Council play a very, very important role in helping our citizens understand why the U.S. role in the world is so important.
When we make funding decisions based on research rather than fear, these choices end up reflecting our strategic needs and our values in a more accurate way. By providing a forum to discuss issues rather than politics, the World Affairs Council encourages folks to form their opinions based on accurate information.
Here are a couple of examples of the role that World Affairs Councils play in our nation's most critical issues and the role of Greater Hampton Roads. When I was ambassador to Iraq, just as I was winding down my 2-year tour there in 2009, I invited a national delegation from the World Affairs Council to come out to make an independent assessment on conditions, prospects, and the United States role. Why the World Affairs Council? They are seen from party to party, countrywide, coast to coast, as an objective, informed, and impartial organization that come to policy and national security not from the standpoint of being a Republican or being a Democrat. So I thought that was very important to have as we transitioned from the Bush to the Obama administrations. That went so well, I repeated that as ambassador to Afghanistan.
I would just tell you, I look back on it completely fondly. And had I been able to escape from the Pentagon in the last 2 years, I probably would have declared political asylum when I arrived in Hampton Roads. So no, it's a great team. And I just remember the friendships, but also the commitment by many thoughtful people to staying connected to a world that the greatest generation coming home from World War II said, it may be a tough world, but we're part of it whether we like it or not. And I salute what the World Affairs Council in Hampton Roads did for NATO, for America, and for me.
Norfolk is NATO's home in America, and I'm used to say we feel here at home. We are more than welcome, and I thank every day all the community and especially the World Affairs Council for the way we are welcome here, not only NATO as a command, but also our families.
At a time when, returning to my first point, America is wondering about our role in the world is wondering about the way forward, NATO is having its 70th anniversary. Well, Greater Hampton Roads hosts the only NATO command in America. It hosts the largest Navy base in the world. This is a place that counts in global affairs, and never has that role been more important than it is today. So congratulations, Greater Hampton Roads, and thanks for letting me be part of the team.
To the World Affairs Council, happy 50th birthday.
Congratulations to all of you on this magnificent anniversary, and here's to the next 50 great years.